Alright, grade 12s, we have been analyzing the play Machirima Africa, but it's equally important to also look into how examiners ask questions or examine this section of the paper. However, concepts of literature are the same across all the genres, and then we need to also test and build that muscle to interpret literature questions accordingly, and most importantly to provide the correct answers. Now, in your final paper, by now you know that you're going to get 2 extracts from any of the scenes based on the play. Before you go to the questions, it's important to analyze the extract, because not all the answers, of course, will be from the extract. Some of the answers will require you to demonstrate general knowledge of the entire play. However, most of the questions, if 60%, if not 70% of the questions will be based on the events that took place in the extract. Now you have this is, I can't remember the province now. Is it, oh, this is an Eastern Cape 2024 September 2024 question paper. We are only going to do the first extract, and then I'm going to show you how to interpret questions. The first thing that you do, you look into the scene that is being examined here. This is Act 1, Scene 5. So before you go to the questions, you ask yourself what was happening in Act 1, Scene 5, and it is also important to think about the events that happened prior to this scene. For example, think about Act 4 or what was happening in Act 4, and then quickly go through the extract again to say, okay, this is when Isabel was having a conversation with Mr. M. I don't think it's time, sorry, it's something you can learn. You either got it or you haven't, like Thami, without even thinking about it. I know he's a good loser. And Mr. M says, maybe Isabella, no, maybe about it. He'd never grabbed his hockey stick and take it out on somebody else if he doesn't win. You are right, I can see him doing that. You have become good friends, haven't you? The best these past few weeks have been quite an education. I owe you a lot. I think Thami has the same, if you'll only give him the chance to do so. What do you mean by that remark, young lady? You know what I mean by that remark, Mr. Teacher? It's called freedom of speech. I've given him plenty of freedom with the reasonable limits, but he never uses it, because you have always been, you are always the teacher and he's always the people. Stop teaching him all the time, Mr. M. Try to just talk to him for a change. Now, this is when Mr. M was having a conversation with Isabella, when prior the appearance of Thami, and then they were here to practice for the literature quiz. Remember, I said you must not confuse the debate and the literature quiz. Okay, so you think about what is happening here, where is the setting, where are the characters here, and what is happening, because there is that question of the description of the setting. So once you do that, you'll be able to respond to questions. Then you think, oh, in the scene this is when. So always think about the summary of the scene and what was happening in that particular scene, so that you can be in a position to go to the questions. The first question that you must expect, grade 12s, is this lower order questions of matching the characters, and column A and column B. Here we'll have your characters, and then on the column B it will be description of characters, and this is a combination of main characters as well as flat characters. I think when I was analyzing Thami's monologue in Act 1, Scene 6, I spoke about David, the appearance of David, that he's a flat character. Those that are mentioned at a particular scene, but you don't get to see them necessarily in the entire play. So I expect all of you to collect the first 4 marks here, which is matching column A and column B. By now you should be knowing your characters. So we've got Mr. A, we've got David Grobler, who is an African surname, Thami, and then we've got Isabel. Now we look into the appropriate or relevant description. Debates from Kamdebu Gelsai, and then of course this one is going to be what? And then wants to be a lawyer. Principal of Kamdebu Gelsai believes education can bring liberation. inspector of Bantu education. So the inspector of Bantu education, of course, here is going to be E. And then Mr. A believes education can bring liberation. We know that Mr. M is a fond believer of education, and that education should be used for liberation. And then Thami, and then so that means we are left with, and we've got B for Thami, and then for A is going to correlate with Isabel, which is A, and then that's where you get your first 4 marks, right? Now, there's this question that says describe the time and place. At times, the examiner will say describe the setting. So time and place speaks to the question of setting is still the same. So for you to respond to this question, you need to describe the events that is happening in this particular scene plus location. Where are the characters? So the second mark is for the location. The first part is the explained for you to explain, if not to describe, the event of what is happening in that particular scene. Now, we already know what is happening in scene 5, as I've already stated. This when Thami and the time when Mr. M and Isabel are waiting for Thami to practice for the literature quiz. That is the description of events. So the first part, when you answer, it will be when Mr. M and Isabel were waiting for Thami to practice for a literature quiz. That will be your first mark, and the location will be they were at a school. Then you get your second mark. So I hope you understand. At times the examiner will say describe the setting. At times they will say describe the time and place. It's still the same question asked differently. So don't be confused if he says describe the time and place. It's still the same as description of the setting. And please be careful. The examiner here does not say mention the setting. They say what? Describe. Hence, I say you must first describe or analyze the event that is happening, what is happening in that scene, and after that, couple that with the location where are the characters. That is how you score your 2 marks. Ne? Right, and now let us move along. Question 4.1.3. Refer to lines 1 to 3. You either got or a good loser. What does these lines reveal about Thami's character? Substantiate, and then always check mark allocation is 2 marks. Whenever the examiner says refer to line 1 and 3, please go back to the extract again. Don't assume that you know the extract. Go back to the extract. Line 1 to 3. I don't think it's something you can learn. You either got it or you don't. You haven't. Like Thami, without even thinking about it, I know he's a good loser. Ne? Remember here the way debriefing about their days, where Isabel was expressing that she was actually furious because she lost a hockey game, and remember that Thami also lost the game of football together with his team members. But then he says that Thami is a good loser. Now, what we are looking for here, it's simply character and characterization, exactly what I've said when I was analyzing the various scenes, and that for you look into how characters respond to events, how they react to events. That will also give you an indication of what kind of a character is this individual. Now, they say Thami here is a good loser. So if you say somebody is a good loser, what does that reveal about Thami's character? And then whenever we are asked questions about a character, that's where you are going to use what you call adjectives. adjectives are describing words to describe a particular character, depending on how they are responding, or their response to what is happening to them. I can say, first of all, Thami is humble, or Thami is gracious. Any of the synonyms that goes along with these will be correct. Remember, we cannot come up with the same answer here, but it needs to be a positive description, because he is. And then remember, the examiner says what you must substantiate. So you'll get a mark for your descriptive part, and then your substantiation. The substantiation therefore should be that he handles both winning and losing with a humility or with grace. All right. In contrast, or in comparison to Isabel, who, you remember, even in the scene, Isabel said that she even felt like hitting somebody with a hockey stick. But then Thami came in smiling, announcing that his team, they also lost a soccer game, but he was saying that with grace and smile. Hence we say that he is humble and he is gracious in this scene, because he is able to handle the fact that they lost a game with his team members, and he also appreciated that even though they lost, they played well. You can also give that as a reason besides this one, both of them. Then that's why now you get your second mark. You see, this is how you interpret questions, also checking mark allocation. Right, now refer to line 19 to 20. I bet you, Thami, that you explain the irony in Isabel's words. Okay, let us go first to line 19 to 20, and then I need to speak and put more emphasis on the aspect of the question of irony. Let's go to line 19 to 20. All right. Okay, Isabel was talking to Mr. M, and he say, I bet you, in some ways, I already know more about Thami than you. Okay, Isabel is saying to Mr. M that she knows Thami better than Mr. M. And then he says that you must explain the irony. Irony is when you say something, but the meaning is actually the opposite of what you are saying. So it means that when you answer the question of irony, both negative plus positive must be reflected in your answer, because we say irony, you say something, but in reality what happens is actually the opposite. So the first part is that Isabel, and bear in mind that in the lines that Isabel was very brave to say that to Mr. M, that indeed she knows Thami better. Now the question is that Isabel claims to understand and know Thami more than Mr. M. Ne? That is the first part. Where are we? Okay. You say Isabel claims to know Thami better than Mr. M. This is the first part, because remember we said both negative and positive must be there. But then you say however. So once you say however, it means that you are going to show us the contrast, if not the difference, right, or the contradiction of the first statement. Ne? However, she recently met both Mr. M and Thami, so meaning that Mr. M has long known Thami. So there's no way that he can say that, hence the statement is ironic. However, Mr. M knows Thami longer, or for a longer period thus Isabel is actually wrong, or Isabel is ironic. So you get me? So the question of irony must always show both sides. Now question 4.1.5, why is the following statement false? Mr. M is Thami's father. No. Indeed, you know that Mr. M is not Thami's father, but Mr. M is Thami's teacher. So you must write that Mr. M is Thami's English teacher, to be more specific. So this statement is actually false. So you need to come up with the correct response that Mr. M is Thami's English teacher, not father. Nay. Now there's this question of also state of mind. Refer to line 21. I dare you say, is he happy? What does this line tell us about Mr. M's state of mind? Now you look, for you to respond to this question, I always say check the events, what is happening, or what is that the character is experiencing, and then put yourself in the shoes of the character and come up with the correct or the closest or possible emotion that you think the speaker might be feeling or might be experiencing. Okay, so there's always that question of state of mind. You should be expecting such questions. Now for you to respond to this question, you must check the events, what is happening, what is that the character is experiencing or going through at that point in time, and what can be the possible emotions that he or she is experiencing. That will be the state of mind. And then always the examiner will say what? Substantiate. So whenever you substantiate, you are not going to give your own opinion. You give a reason based on the events of the play. Okay, based on the events of the play. You are not providing your own opinion. Mostly you fail questions in literature because you write general responses. You are not speaking about the characters, you are not speaking about the events, you give general statements. So try by all means to avoid general statements, but speak about the events. Speak about what is happening in Act 5. Scene Act 1, Scene 5. Don't talk about general statements that are far-fetched from what has transpired in that scene. So we go back to line 21. I always say, always go back. Don't assume that you know. Always go back. I dare that is true, in which case tell me, is he happy? Remember, always here you would say that this is a conversation between Isabel and Mr. M just before Thami came, as in when they were preparing for a literature quiz. Now, Mr. M was inquisitive. He wanted to know whether Thami is happy. And it is because he had some things, the news, he had that there may be troubling news, around. People were saying, the whispers around that there may be troubling news. So the state of mind, it will be that Mr. M, let me write it here. Mr. M, we can say that he is curious, he is worried, I'm trying to look for another synonym or another descriptive word that is suitable, or the most accurate one definitely will be that he is concerned, right? And then substantiate. He's concerned about Thami's happiness and how he feels about everything. He wishes that Isabel can share what Thami told her so that he can know how Thami feels. Okay, so the substantiation is that he is worried because he wants to know more about Thami and exactly how Thami feels. So hence he wishes that Isabel can divulge more information. It will be your substantiation for the state of mind. To which competition, line 22, is Isabel referring to? Again, guys, don't confuse debate and literature quiz. Now the competition is indeed it will be what? Your literature quiz competition. Quiz competition. Ne? Now, you have your higher order questions. In the 2 extracts that the examiner is going to use, you are going to have higher order questions. Normally, these are your last questions where you be asked to discuss. Right? Mr. M's top-down approach compromises his relationship with time. Whenever you get a question of this nature, it's a 3 marks. You must have 3 facts. Where are you going to get your 3 facts? From the events of the play. Do not give your own opinion. Do not give general statements. Okay, Mr. M top down, and we spoke about it in our analysis when you spoke about the theme of intergenerational conflict. We spoke about Mr. M's approach. So Mr. M's approach compromises his relationship with time. Either you say yes or no, but you must check where you have more facts or where you have more reasons. If you say yes and then you feel that you have quite a number of evidence to use to substantiate your response, say yes. If you say no, still don't just say no and then you write a brief answer, whereas the examiner says 3 marks. I'm saying that you must ensure that you have 3 facts. Now let us look into my notes, and possible responses can be yes. Indeed, Mr. M has a traditional approach, as he is always commanding time. 1. That can be the first fact. Second fact, he sees himself as the teacher and Thami as the pupil, and this dynamic prevents him from truly connecting with Thami as a person. This is fact number 2. Fact number 3, it also prevents Thami from expressing his feelings or his emotions. As most of, like for example, in this act, you can see that their relationship is strained, as he is also fishing for information from Isabel to ask Isabel about Thami's whereabouts. That shows that their relationship is indeed how strained. Now, did you listen to my response? I have used evidence from their play. I did not use general statements. You must always support whatever that you say. The fact must be coupled up with evidence from the play, and the evidence that I've used is from Act 5, the very same Act 1 Scene 5, to say Mr. M is inquiring more about Thami through Isabel, which means that because of his top-down approach, Thami is not free to express his emotions or feelings, and it shows that indeed their relationship is somehow how compromised, or it is how strained. You get it now? Alternatively, you can say no, but bear in mind I've said the 3 facts backing up with what evidence. No, Mr. M allows Thami to express himself, but with limitations. Fact number 1. No, Mr. M believes Thami has a bright future and does not want him to ruin his life by joining the boycott, hence he constantly guides him. And then fact number 3, Mr. M does not impose his ideas to Thami, he tries to give him possible option. So can you see, even when I say no, I still use evidence from the play to support my facts without being general. So after I'm done analyzing the play, we'll take another question paper to check another extract and show you how to respond to questions based on My Children, My Africa. Thank you.